Beware if you ever have an employee that acts like this on the job and is not embarrassed to be acting like this on the job. Giving Spirit Airlines a run for their money for customer service, I present to you Frontier Airlines.
They made that flight. You did. And you think, you're going to check me in. I bet you we won't.
Okay? I paid for a ticket.
And you didn't pay $25 for agent assistee, and you checked in 3 hours later. Hello.
I just said that I
was going to get on your flight.
I just said that I would pay the $25.
And you thought you were going to get on your flight. And you thought you were going to get on your flight. And you thought you were going to get on your flight. And you thought you were going to get on your flight.
I literally paid for a ticket. I'm here 30 minutes. I'm here 30 minutes before my flight, and they're not letting me check in.
And you're not getting on your flight.
Because it's a policy. We don't control that.
And you will never fly.
You were about to let me check in. You were about to let me check in, and you decided that you ain't gonna let me check in.
Make me check you in.
You literally work for a company that I bought a plane ticket for. I'm here 30 minutes before the flight.
Can you please leave, sir?
No.
Can you please leave my personal space?
I'm not in your personal space. This is not your personal space. This is
my stationery.
This is not your personal space. You work for a company. This is not your personal space.
We ain't got to worry about it. We ain't got to worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it. You're literally not doing your job for a customer that has paid for a plane ticket to get home.
We'll just let this play out. Another guy gets involved on the far end. Listen to this.
I'm literally here at Frontier. I bought a ticket, and they are not letting me check in. For no reason whatsoever.
Well, you might have been a little late.
Never flying the airline again, so we might as well help you out and have you not fly the airline.
I've already bought a ticket. I've literally already bought a ticket, and this is your reaction.
First of all, we're entering the realm of the universe where we've gone from the thinking man pose like this to the recording man pose like this. I'm not going to play the entire thing again. These are actual employees working at Frontier Airline. And it's not like, there's not just one idiot. There's not just two idiots. There seem to be three idiots all working at the same time for the same company. And I wonder what the rest of their workforce is like. What is it with this thing of repeating the same thing over and over again?
$5 for agent assistee, and you checked in 3 hours later. Hello.
I just said that I
get on your flight.
I just said that I would pay the $25.
And you thought you were going to get on your flight. And you thought you were going to get on your flight. And you thought you were going to get on your flight. And you thought you were going to get on your flight.
I literally paid for a ticket. I'm here 30 minutes.
I don't understand any of this. Like, I appreciate the customer is not always right. But that's the default position in business. Okay, fine. First of all, I don't know what the $25 agent assist thing is. All that I can tell you is that people are sometimes late to the airport for reasons that are beyond their control. Now, I try to steelman everything. Maybe this guy was the most belligerent, and maybe he said something racially inappropriate before that really got them angry, and that's why the two of them were holding their... Maybe. I don't think so, because if that man had said something over the top, rude, racist, whatever beforehand, I think there would have been a different overall ambiance there. Was the guy maybe a little bit rude? It's your job. Check me in. Oh, nobody's going to tell me how to do my job. Nobody's going to tell me to do my job. You're in my personal space. You're behind it's your station and not your stationary, incidentally. You are at your station for a company that you represent. And in addition, you don't want to check him in? Fine, get a manager. Too little time. You cannot check in. We're not holding up the plane. To record a customer, but he's recording me so I get to take on my camera. We're living in the world has gone batshit crazy. Crazy. Now, some people are saying showing up 30 minutes before departure time, you're pushing your luck. Okay, has nobody been late for a plane? Has some people actually missed a plane? Let me tell you, anecdote. I'm sitting there watching this with my wife and we're having a good laugh. Like 30 minutes, it's not the thing you want to do. I'm neurotic. I don't want to miss a plane. That's 30 minutes before the flight, not 5 minutes. You can run. And I'm like, remember that time where we nearly missed a plane and it backed up and pulled back up into the jet lane and they inserted the little, the thing that goes to the door. And we're like, say, did that actually happen? And I had to go back and find the video because it actually happened, because it wasn't our fault. I mean, this guy hadn't checked in yet, so it's not like he had an itinerary that couldn't meet the layover at the airplane place, the airport. But we were on an airplane back in the day, by the way. Let me play you the first 30 seconds of this video. We called it Traveling with Kids at the time, and we went to San Diego. I don't recall why on earth we had 2 layovers to get from Montreal to San Diego. My wife, she books the trips. She's always good. I don't know how we ended up with the itinerary from hell, but a little trip down memory lane for those of you who are new to the channel. Viva family, back in the day. 2 insane parents, for those who are listening to this on podcast version, thought they could take their 3 kids from Montreal to San Diego. This is their story. Family time. Departure day. The kid's crazy.
Front door,
the kid was
front
crazy.
door, shoes, jackets.
Winter clothing.
Bless you.
With our old dog. Okay, so it wasn't pleasant. Let's just say it wasn't pleasant. But we actually, at one point, were delivered an impossible itinerary where we landed in, I want to say, the Washington airport. And then we had to change terminals and get to another terminal within 20 minutes. Watch, because you won't believe that it happened if I didn't have it on camera. I have it on camera.
Okay, so apparently they sold us an
get there.
impossible itinerary. We landed at 3:25, and that was the boarding time of the airline, which we have to go to a different terminal for. So we are
We
going to
left the airport. So
we're going to miss the
we have to go
plane.
back to their security. Or?
We're going to miss the plane.
This was our life.
I'll put you down when we're on the airplane. Gates 1 through 22. Go.
Yeah, that's that big flag at the Reagan Airport.
Let's do it. You gotta stay right here.
We got amazing service.
We made it.
They waited.
The
for
plane.
us.
We've been holding up. How many people are on the plane? Quite a few.
It's a big.
We've been holding up quite a few.
We didn't
It's
hold
not our
it up.
fault.
They held
They
it up.
sold us an impossible itinerary.
They
They're calling back the plane. The plane started backing out and now has to come back in. People are going to hate us. Absolute first, guys. The plane is pulling back in to the jetway, whatever.
I thought this was illegal for them to do. They bring it back. They
Oh my
roll the
goodness,
plane
just
back
for
in
us.
and take the little thing and reattach it to the plane. Open up the door, and then we're walking down the aisle. Sorry, guys, I didn't make them hold the plane up. That happened.
If I didn't see it on camera, there's no way in hell I would have believed it.
I know. Encryptus agent guru _IO on Twitter. They pulled the plane back into it. It's not like we called up and said, hold the plane. We're just like, we're going to miss it. It's fine, but we'll run and see if we make it there. The plane's back in. I was like, oh, that was it. They called the pilot. They brought the plane back up, reinsert. What's the thing called? The male part that goes to the door. The jetway? The jetway?
Jetway.
The jetway, the projectile thing that you go in that treats humans like seeds, and it goes into the plane, and then the plane carries the seeds over to another place, and that's how population spreads. That actually happened. I've never flown Frontier Airline. I've flown Spirit. I've never had a bad experience on Spirit. And they say I have to pay for water. I'm not making a stink about it. I'm paying for frickin' bottled water on an airplane. Run faster. It was crazy. The rest of that vlog, by the way, because we had that layover, then a layover in Colorado. By the time we made it to San Diego, I had a sinus infection. I cannot believe how rude those employees were. I don't know if they're going to get fired. Nobody should retrain them as if you need training to say, this is not how you treat a customer, even if they showed up late, because they decided to take their sweet time. You don't know if they got stuck in traffic. You don't know if they had explosive diarrhea that morning, IBS, stomach cramps, whatever. You don't know if they missed their alarm. You don't know if they had a family emergency. No. You thought you were going to get on that plane. Lady, are you crazy? I heard you the first time. That is the lighthearted intro, because I was going to start with other stuff, but I figured let's start with that so we can have a good laugh and then, segue our way into how you start off a good morning with 1775 Coffee, one of our sponsors for today's show, people. You've heard the hype. Maybe you've seen the new launches sell out, but if you still haven't tried 1775 Coffee, this is your shot, because they've just launched their 1775 starter kit, and the first drop is limited to 1,000 units. The starter kit isn't some dinky sampler pack. It's a full-on pack of caffeine freedom, a bold dark roast that hits harder than CNN fact check, a smooth medium roast for strength without bitterness, like me, and Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy, laser focus, zero crash, single origin, small batch, mold-free, toxin-free, plus you're also getting a gold spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. I suspect it's not real gold, people. A froth strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler that says, "I don't take life advice or caffeine from woke sea witches." $170 worth of gear for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/Viva. Grab your starter kit today before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something. Free speech. Partner with a company that respects you as a customer, unlike Frontier Airlines, who seem to have nothing but utter disdain and not disregard, but disdain and disgust for their customers. First things first, Quartering. Thank you for the raid, everybody. I know Quartering's got his own coffee. Where's my mug? I had the mug here. I am a 1775 man. You know, it comes before 1776. Quartering, thank you for the raid. Everyone who's new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe, turn on notification, whatnot, etc., etc. And that is the intro for today's show. Now, we'll start with Canada slowly. There's a very sad story coming out of Canada, coming out of Nova Scotia in particular, of two young kids, 4 and 2 or 6 and 4, who apparently left their parents' house and disappeared in the woods of Nova Scotia. The standard suspicions in these types of things, you know, you suspect kidnapping. My first reaction was it one of a parent kidnapping the kids? We don't know yet. The kids have gone missing. You know, statistically, it tends to be people who are known to the kids, assuming that a human element was involved and assuming it's not just two kids leaving. But we're going to get to that story. You know what? We're just going to start with that story right now because it's terrible, but it highlights what an absolute effing joke in the sickest, most depressing of ways Canada has become. From the Globe and Mail, RCMP scale back search for missing children in rural Nova Scotia. I listened to the press conference. That's where I saw this video that I said, this is just insult to injury coming out of Canada. Scaling back the search means it's been 5 days now that these kids have been missing. And the police said during the conference that if they are alive, well, this is great. If they are alive, they don't expect to find, if they were missing because they walked out of the house and got lost after 5 days in the Nova Scotia woods, they're not Nova Scotia missing children. Sorry, that article was behind something of a paywall. That was the one I just had here. Let's do Newsweek. Okay. Lily and Jack Sullivan update on missing kids as footprint found. I think from what they understood is that they found what they thought was a footprint and it didn't lead to any discoveries. Police said a potential footprint was spotted as the search for two missing siblings in Canada's Nova Scotia province continues. Lily Sullivan, Jack Sullivan, 6 and 4 respectively, last seen Friday. We are now Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Friday to Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 5 days. If they walked out of their house in the wilderness of Nova Scotia. Pictou, the children are believed to have wandered from home just after 10 a.m. That's in the morning, the RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, said in a news release. Police told CBC News that searchers located what was thought to have been a footprint on Saturday, leading them to expand their search efforts in the area. Quote, since Lily and Jack Sullivan were reported missing on Friday, ground search and rescue volunteers and officers have meticulously searched the kilometers in the area around Lansdowne Station, where Lily and Jack were last seen. Searchers are diligently keeping track of which specific sections of the ground they have covered, yada, yada, yada. Wyatt Matt is like, what kind of title is that? The search effort for Lily and Jack is now in its 4th day. Multiple agencies are participating, including search and rescue teams from around the province, Civil Air Search Rescue Association, Department, dogs, etc., etc. Around 160 people are involved despite rain forecast. What to know, Lily is described as having shoulder-length hair with brow bangs. She might be wearing a pink sweater, pink pants, and boots. A vulnerable missing person alert has been issued for the children. Police and others are involved. So that's the story, what people are saying. It has been a few days, but that has not dampened the hopes of the search teams and the police who are trying to help get these kids home. Roger Parker, they often say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, all of Pictou County is a village right now, and everybody is hoping and praying for these little ones. What's next? It's been 5 days, and the outlook is not so good. As I was watching this press conference earlier today, even the cops were basically saying we're scaling back because it's not optimistic. If the two wandered off 5 days in the Nova Scotia wilderness, it'll be tragedy.
Isn't there a history of this?
Well, there are darker incidents where it ends up being a parent or the parents or something along those lines. I mean, that's just statistically where it goes. The police, they were not indicating whether or not they had any suspects. I think thus far they were treating it as the children wandered off. But in Cryptus, if you haven't seen this, I go to watch the conference, and it looks like a bad SNL skit. I mean, I guess every SNL skit is bad. This is how the conference by the police started off. And I shit you not, this is the absolute state of Canada. Imagine being the parents of these two children, assuming that they're not involved, which by all, there's no evidence to suggest they are. Statistics are what they are, but set that aside. Imagine the parents have lost their two children. And this is what you have to see starting off the press conference to update the general public as to the search efforts to find your two children. You see what they're doing? They're slipping a phone in front of her. Read the line, police.
You're not showing anything.
Well, that's a thank you for telling me that. That's a problem. Am I not able to share now? I have to go refresh my screen here. I'm hitting share. There it is. Okay. Thank you. They slip her a phone. Read the line. She looks like she's about to swallow her pride.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am Corporal Carly McCann, Provincial Public Information Officer for the Nova Scotia RCMP. Thank you all for being here today. Bonjour, je suis la caporale Carly McCann, agent d'information publique pour la GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse. Merci de votre présence aujourd'hui. First, I acknowledge that we are in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional and unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years.
I am struggling to not drop multiple F-bombs on these idiots. Can you imagine that the family, assuming that they've lost their children, have to listen to a land acknowledgement? In Cryptus, while we're talking about this, might you be able to pull up what in the hell she's talking about with African Nova Scotians? I believe she's talking about what would otherwise be like African Americans in Nova Scotia, or maybe referencing the slave trade up in Canada. I think. I have never heard the term African Nova Scotian. It's almost something like an oxymoron that you have African Nova Scotians and not Nova Scotians. Imagine having to sit there and listen to politics infiltrate woke ideological politics. This is woke, by the way. James Lindsay, if you're watching, this is woke. At a press conference.
Dropped.
Yeah, bring it up.
This.
Well, can you share the screen?
Yeah, I'm going to drop it here in your. There's a whole lot of them.
It's going to blow your mind. Yep. Say it again.
I'm dropping them here in our private chat here in Rumble Studio. There's a couple different links here, but there's literally a land acknowledgement guide. This document is going to absolutely piss you off.
Land acknowledgement. Nova, let me just make sure we're at NSASC. So that is Nova Scotia Ask Project.ca land acknowledgement. Is this, let me just see what this is about. What is the Nova Scotia Active Smarter Kids Project? So I don't know that
this is one example. Go look at the next link. That's actually the government's guide to land acknowledgement.
The next one that you sent. That's what I want. Yeah, official government is what we want, not necessarily activist organization. Let's just bring this up here. African Nova Scotians. I have to go back and play it again. This is what they have to taint an update on two missing children with. Land Acknowledgement Guide. The Canadian Bar Association. Northwest Territories, British Columbia, the First Nations Traditional Territory Acknowledgement. They got videos for this.
There are thousands of websites with land acknowledgements on this. This is...
Example. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Niitsitapi, Blackfoot, and the people of the Treaty of Seven in the southern Alberta, which... Can you imagine, like, I forget who it was. I think it was Based and Biased over on Twitter says, yeah, nothing better than reminding someone that you've stolen their land and that you're never giving it back. But thanks for the acknowledgement at a press conference for two missing children because you've been unable to find two missing children over the last 5 days. Maybe if you were not involved in woke politics, I'm not blaming anybody for not being able to find the children. It's like a needle in a haystack. Land acknowledgements.
It's on every single website for every single business, every company, every library.
It's insanity. But let me bring it back here.
De votre présence aujourd'hui, the traditional and unceded ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people.
Traditional unceded, but it's ours now, and all you get is a thanks for coming. We took your land.
I also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years.
So African Nova Scotians have enriched Nova Scotia for over 400 years. She actually used the word enrichment. Enriched. Canada has become a walking meme. I hope to God they find those children. This would be an absolute insult and should be enraging to anybody with half a brain. It's not the time, it's not the place for your land acknowledgements and thanking African Nova Scotians for their enrichment to Nova Scotia. Dude, why not Asian Nova Scotians? Or do you do that too? Why not? I can't even think of it. European Nova Scotians. No, they don't get it. They don't get it because they're the founders. They don't get it. Asian, South American Nova Scotian. How do you have an African Nova Scotian? Oh my goodness. That's Canada, people. And if prayers do anything, and you can at least keep an eye out, and if you're in Nova Scotia, I know I have at least a few people out in Nova Scotia. Everybody who can do something is doing what they can. I'll be following the story. Pray. I mean, if the kids went missing because they wandered off, it doesn't look good. If they got taken by somebody, that might be at least a hope that they're still alive. That's what's going on in Nova Scotia. We're not yet done with Canada, people. First things first, duck fat. Whenever I see this name, I think of the spoonerized version. Fuck that. Not to be confused with Nigerian Prince Edward Island. No, it's so insulting. They're distinct. Like, we look at a Nova Scotian. If you're black, we see an African Nova Scotian, and we don't let you forget it. You're distinct. Oh, no, but it's positive racism the way we look at it. You're distinct, African Nova Scotians. Distinct from Nova Scotians. Thanks for your enrichment. But when I look at you, I don't see a Nova Scotian. I don't see a Canadian. You're black. I see an African Nova Scotian. Oh, but it's not racist of me to thank you for your cultural enrichment for the last 400 years.
They've been there longer than most of the European ancestry in the area.
Thank the Vikings. How is it unceded territory to the native? I think the Vikings were there first. Give it back to the Vikings. It's enough to give you high blood pressure. But you know what you want to do to curb your high blood pressure? Everybody, Field of Greens, healthy substitutes for unhealthy habits that we all I don't have any unhealthy habits. I'm a very healthy man. But people, not everybody eats healthy. Not everybody has a healthy afternoon alternative. And if you go to your doctor and your doctor's telling you need to lose a few pounds, you need to, curb the cholesterol out of your blood, that's where Field of Green enters. It's the only Field of Greens that offers a money-back guaranteed improved checkups at your next doctor's appointment, or your money back. We're supposed to have between 5 and 7 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day. Most people do not have that. Whether or not you do, this is a good habit to get into. It is desiccated greens, USDA organic. It is delicious. You have 1 spoonful twice a day. It qualifies as 2 servings of fruits and vegetables. They pick their fruits and vegetables to make specific body organs healthier. You add it to a glass of water, stir it around, and you will feel amazing doing it. It tastes delicious, and you will improve your health. And notice it at your next doctor's appointment or your money back. How can a fruit and vegetable drink promise better health? Each fruit and vegetable in Field of Greens is doctor selected to support specific vital organs: heart, liver, kidneys, metabolism, immune system, healthy body cells. Let's get started, people. Go to fieldofgreens.com. It'll bring you to Brickhouse Nutrition. Promo code Viva will get you 20% off your order and free shipping. I got mine right here. I happen to actually have so many raw fruits and vegetables, but I like to have that instead of I've actually weaned off the sugar afternoon drinks and even the fake sucralose or aspartame type afternoon drinks. But you put a spoonful in this in water. It's delicious. Fieldofgreens.com. Wonderful stuff. Link in the description. Thank you very much, Field of Greens. Thank you, 1775, for sponsoring the content on this channel. Not the content, you're sponsoring the channel with no approval or disapproval of the content. It's good stuff, both companies. That's not all that's coming out of Canada. We're going to have to call him Mark the Shark Carney. I want to find a way to put snake in there, or what is it called when you speak with forked tongue? Mark the forked tongue Carney had his meeting with President Trump yesterday. We talked about it at length. But between yesterday and today, some other beauty clips, some other beauty highlighting the hypocrisy of these politicians who speak out of both sides of their mouths, who, I mean, it's so superficially transparent. It drives me nuts that otherwise intelligent people don't see through the total, utter bullshit. I gotta remind everybody about Justin Trudeau. This was one of the highlights. I don't think I talked about it yesterday because I posted it and I was like, oh, crap, I forgot I got this one when I was fishing with my kid before we hooked that massive clown knife fish that the alligator got. Again, if you're in our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community, you know what I'm talking about. You saw the video. It was epic. This was one of the first things where understand what Trump says here and understand how the tariff war got started in the first place. You know, like they say, like, you can be honest. You don't have to lie. What is it? No, you don't have to tell the truth. Just don't lie. Well, you can be honest without being stupid. You can be honest without showing all of your cards when you're in the context of negotiations and you're not necessarily negotiating from a position of strength. Listen to what Trump says Trudeau said to him when they met back before, I think it was before Trudeau resigned. I think it was, to get clear on the timing. Listen to this. Let me just make sure I'm not going to blow your ears out. There you go. Listen to this.
Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to...
Trudeau. I love
Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that...
Just always watch Carney, by the way. Always watch Carney.
Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking your... We want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said,
look at Carney.
That's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But
Look
mean
at
the end
Carney.
of Canada. He actually said that to me.
Oh,
and I said,
what an idiot.
that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year.
Can you understand that? First of all, Trudeau is the dumb globalist. Carney, to his credit, is the smart globalist. I knew that Carney wasn't going to be an idiot. I mean, he's a liar. He's a two-faced, three-passport-carrying globalist whore. Davos speaking, Bilderberg meeting attending, WEF whore. That's what he is. He's a climate crisis tyrant, and the nice guy is going to wear off sooner than later to the extent that he's allowed to by the Canadian public. I never accused this guy of being stupid. When the tariff war started, and then Carney basically said what even Pierre didn't say. Well, we're going to withhold exporting hydroelectricity because that is, in fact, America's not dependent on Canada for that, but they do find a useful purpose for it in New York, Vermont, northern states that touch the border. And Carney comes out and says, yeah, well, we're going to withhold, or we're going to put a tariff on hydro. So that will be a way to fight back with something that the U.S. needs. Trudeau meets with Trump and basically lays his cards face up on the table and says, your bet in Texas no limit hold'em. Moron. So he comes in and says, yeah, if you were to put a tariff, it would crush us. Hence the 51st state, hence the tariff war, hence Trump knowing exactly where he has negotiating power. In come Carney, and the rest is history. You have to see, by the way, if you haven't seen it, and in Cryptus, if you can find this while I'm talking, how Journal de Montréal, Quebec, Montreal, Canadian News is reporting on Carney's meeting with Trump. One headline said, Carney 1, Trump 0. Another one said, they are praising Carney like he just went and like Seth Petrozelli just KO'd Kimbo Slice. I'm sorry, so what did Carney get that is the one? Like, did he get humiliated in front of the world? Yeah, I guess it is 1-0 then for Carney. In that press conference, 40 minutes, Carney maybe said 3 or 4 minutes worth of anything. Trump is sitting there saying, we don't need Canada. We frankly don't want Canadian steel. We don't want to get cars from you or pieces. We want to make them locally. And we want to do it to the point where it will be financially not worth your while, Canada, to even engage in that industry. And by the way, you're always welcome as the 51st state, to which Carney said no. Carney gets out of the meeting yesterday, and he's the, look, when I say he's a Kamala Harris-esque, he's a Kamala Harris-esque manufactured candidate. There is zero substance to him. All that there is short video clips, add some dramatic music, and there's your packaged candidate. I want to get the right video here. I think it was this one. There's a longer video where he's talking in his smooth, polished presentation voice. He's like this, talks very calmly, repeats things twice. To be clear, puts his hands together, moves slow. He's very reassuring. You know, he's not manic like Viva. He doesn't fluctuate. He doesn't gesticulate too much. He's perfectly polished. He is a synthetic candidate. He came out with this beautiful 1-minute video about how he's going to work together with Trump right now and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, you mother effer. I'm old enough to remember when you were talking about inflicting maximum harm on America. The relationship you had with America is over. And I just decided to do a compare and contrast montage because apparently I'm the only one who lives on Pepperidge Farm here.
I conveyed to the president today what our countries have long proven to be true, that Canada and the United States are stronger when we work together.
Pause. I'm going to start it again, then I'm not going to interrupt it. I'll give him credit for one thing. His audio quality is damn impeccable. I feel like I'm in a booth listening to that soothing voice. He's calm, calculated. He talks like John Kirby. He talks like all of the members of the intelligence agencies. Little nasally. He's got a bit of a deeper delivery. Cadence, smooth, slow, something to emulate if you want to look like a big, fat, globalist phony. Now I'm going to shut my big mouth and just play it through because it's my montage and I want you to see my work.
I conveyed to the president today what our countries have long proven to be true, that Canada and the United States are stronger when we work together. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations,
is over.
We can get a better deal for our workers. We can create more opportunities for our businesses. We can build stronger economies across North America when we work together.
We're focused on maximizing Canadian jobs, maximizing the harm in the U.S.,
The question is how we will cooperate in the future. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations,
is over. Hey, congrats, boomers. You fell for it because you're a bunch of idiots. You know what's amazing about it? Is that Trump clearly placed no weight, gave no credence to Mark the Shark Carney's bluster when he was running. Yeah, oh, is that what you're saying? It's like Urkel talking mean to Mike Tyson. Oh, okay, keep flapping your lips, little man. No weight, no credence to any of the nonsense rubbish that Carney was saying in order to get elected. But you know who was stupid enough to fall for it? Boomers. And a number of other Canadians. But I don't want to paint all of Canada with one broad brushstroke because 42% voted for Pierre Poilievre, who is looking mighty devastated these days. Boomers, idiots, morons, elitist pricks who are enjoying their golden years, suckling at the teat of whatever retirement funds they have, couldn't give a sweet bugger all that they are supporting a globalist who's going to destroy Canada as it was ever known. But wait, there's more. What was this one I had to bring up here? Oh, this was the full original video that he put on.
Today, what our countries have long proven to be true, that Canada and the United States are stronger when we work together. We can get a better deal for our workers. We can create more opportunities for our businesses.
But they didn't even know the audio.
We can build stronger economies across North America.
Stronger economies across North America when we work together. The relationship that you knew is over. I have made a demon out of Donald Trump, and now with a shit-eating grin, I am kissing the ring and bending the knee and praising him as a transformational president because he protects the border, attacks fentanyl, which we said was no problem whatsoever, and looks out for American workers.
And you
And
should see what the mainstream media is saying about this exact meeting. I dropped a few links in our private chat. ABC and New York Times, the exact same headline.
yeah, it might be syndicated. Let me see if it's syndicated along Associated Press. Yeah, once you understand it, Carney says Canada not for sale. You know what my joke to that is? Something being not for sale doesn't mean it's not for the taking. You won't sell it. It's very funny. Like, I know that when Carney made that joke, he was looking at Trump and said, well, you're in real estate. You know that some things are not for sale. If anybody knows how the holdout buildings in New York work, it doesn't need to be for sale in order for you to be bankrupted into foreclosure. It doesn't need to be for sale in order for hostile forces to steal it, or in order for people to just come and pluck it away because you can't even pay your own national debt anymore, because you have people dying in the hospitals. You can no longer even protect your country, which is not for sale. No, it's for the taking. The only problem is China and India seem to have a head start. Never say never, Trump mused after Carney's comments. Let's see here. Where's this article coming from? Let me see who these people are. Michel Stoddart. The other one says the same thing?
So the New York Times does, but the one above the link that you clicked on is the actual true headline.
L'Express. On va voir. C'est quoi ici? Let's see how the Canadian... no, thanks. Nervous Mark Carney caught in weak gesture while meeting Trump. Well, this is not how they're reporting on it in Canada. Where is this from?
The Express? I'm not quite sure.
.us. Okay, yeah, no. In Canada, it was Carney 1, Trump 0. It was, I think it was, I want to say La Presse. I think it was a French outlet. Canadian Mark Carney met President Donald Trump in the Oval Office to focus on addressing immediate trade issues. Let me see what the body language say. Canadian Premier Mark Carney appeared weak. Everyone appears weak next to Donald Trump. When you've got Trump patting you on the knee, little boy, you look weak, you look small. That's how Trump dominates in discussions, in negotiations. When you have all of the European Union sitting there with their arms folded, staring at you, and you're sitting in a chair like, what are you going to do about it? That conveys strength. Like, it's funny, Americans don't realize how lucky they are, or some Americans do not realize how lucky they are. Besides calling for Canada to be the 51st state, he threatened to impose tariffs on China, Canada, Mexico. Well, considering China has already infiltrated Canada and Mexico, you're just indirectly imposing tariffs on your main target, China. It's the first time the duo has met, yada, yada, yada. Oh, anyways, it doesn't matter. That's what's going on in Canada, people. Oh, lordy. Let me go to TT Full-Timer over on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Tiger Creek in Polk County, Florida, an alligator attacked a canoe and then a woman and killed her. I'll look that up. It's very funny. Don't look at me, people. I don't go kayaking in alligator-infested water. But just yesterday, when we were fishing, there was somebody in an inflatable kayak who then got out of the kayak and was wading in the water up to their knees, maybe close to their waist, when there were gators there. The gator ate our fish. All right. Well, we're done with Canada. Let me go see what else is going on in vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Boopsie, in respect of being grateful for President Trump, says, I am so grateful. Rocket Boy TY says, the two kept it civil, but as far as Trump's calls to make Canada the 51st state, Carney insisted his nation was, quote, not for sale, and Trump shot back, time will tell. Asked by a reporter if there was anything Carney could tell him to lift his tariffs of as much as 25% on Canada, Trump said bluntly, no. Yeah, I posted that clip. No. And then the reporter's like, why not? He's like, it's just the way it is. All right. Oh, that makes my lips itchy when I do that. Did we, Encryptus, we talked about Ashli Babbitt yesterday, but that was in the Locals after party, right?
We actually didn't talk about it in there at all, and we just got a raid from Nick Recchietta.
Oh, well then, hello, folks, coming from Nick. Welcome to the channel. Everyone who's new to the channel, Viva Fry. My real name is David Freiheit, so if you think you've got a gotcha by saying, his name's David Fry, nobody of good faith actually says that. Viva Fry, David Freiheit, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler. I'm loving it in Florida. I cannot hide it. We've entered the hot season now. Although someone said we're 6 weeks away from summer. What's amazing is the dry season is winter, and we've had a couple of big storms, and then you really feel the humidity, and it's a beautiful thing. The water swells, the ground swells, it absorbs the water, and then during the day, when you have the blaring sun, the moisture comes up, and that's why you just get such beautiful, hot, humid summers, and the sudden thunder showers are a thing of beauty. If you don't love the rain showers in Florida, I dare say you're not human. Like up north, We hate it when it rains because when it rains, it's like 45, 50 degrees and the rain is cold. Here, you want to go outside barefoot and just get drenched in the rain. And I do it more often than some people think sane and normal. Oh, and by the way, over on Locals, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. You can hit the thumbs down button too. Who are the three bastards that hit the thumb down button? Hit the thumbs up button and make sure that you are subscribed. Ashli Babbitt. I'm flabbergasted that I didn't hear this when it broke because the story broke 4 or 5 days ago. We've been covering it from the beginning. Ashli Babbitt, for those of you who don't know, is arguably the only person to have been killed through homicide because it was an act of man, but some of us might believe that it was closer to killed by way of murder by Capitol Police Officer Michael Byrd. We've been following it from day one. And I say arguably the only person because there's Roseanne Boyland, who was also arguably, but not arguably, beaten by police, then trampled. And she also died. But the legacy media that said Officer Brian Sicknick was murdered by Trump protesters, hit on the head with a fire extinguisher, lies, lies, lies. He died of a stroke the next day. Some people tried to tie it to pepper spray exposure, but he was not murdered or homicided, period. Ashli Babbitt was killed. Roseanne Boyland died, and they tried to say it was methamphetamine overdose, when in reality, it looks like she was beaten and trampled by police. And what they tried to call methamphetamine was actually her ADD medication, which is an amphetamine. And it's the same type of medication, but not the drug. And they lied about her death. Set that aside. I wanted to have someone from the Epoch Times on who wrote an article, did a whole expose on that, because Roseanne Boyland's death or killing is one of the more untold stories of that day. Ashli Babbitt is a tragedy of that day because she was shot point blank by Michael Byrd. I'm not going to play the video because it's a terrible video to watch. Some people are going to say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, fuck around, find out. And when you're trying to jump through a broken window after having broken in or entered the Capitol building where there are very important people, you're asking for trouble. And, to quote Jules again out of Pulp Fiction, you can expect a reaction to reasonably predict summary execution by a police officer with a tarnished history, though possible, would not be high on the end of the spectrum of realms of possibilities. She was summarily executed by Michael Byrd. Some people say it was a legitimate self-defense. Those people are idiots. At best, it was doing something stupid and bad things happen. And at worst, it was cold-blooded killing, but even worse than that. And we're going to get into it because there are some people, and I don't blame them, who might even think that it was deliberate, that they needed someone to die that day so that they could then say it was a deadly protest, and that Ashli Babbitt was the one that Michael Byrd selected for summary execution so they could then say, look how violent this insurrection was. One of Trump's supporters got killed as a result of his instructions to enter the Capitol. That is what some people might entertain by way of an alternate theory, and I cannot say that it's unreasonable. Ashli Babbitt shot once, upper torso through the neck, bled out, and Michael Byrd was hailed as a hero by the media. He was cleared of criminal wrongdoing, and the family filed a wrongful death. They had to go through the procedure, 6 months filing a claim, let the Capitol Police investigate, determine if they're going to take it up or not. We've covered that at length in the previous Sunday night streams with Barnes. She filed the civil claim, and this was under the Biden administration. And now that the Trump administration is in power, they've taken over the case, and it would appear that they have settled. Unclear if they've settled for the full $30 million that Ashli Babbitt's family was suing for, but they've settled. There's not enough money on earth that could ever compensate someone for the death of their daughter, sister, wife. I'm not sure if she was married. There's not enough money on earth. And there's also going to be this paradox or this guilt that the family, if they get 10, 20, $30 million to get rich, and I put it in quotes, off the death of their daughter is going to be a source of, it'll make them feel sick that this is how throw money at taking of a life, and that some people are going to say payday, as if they would have taken any amount of money on earth in substitute for their daughter. Ashli Babbitt's estate, DOJ moved to settle $30 million wrongful death lawsuit. There was a whole procedure they had to go through. I'm not sure if we're going to get to it. Veteran, Air Force veteran. Some people are going to say she should have known better than trying to jump through a broken window. And others might say, in the escalation of force, you don't go from zero to lethal force like that. Pepper spray, taser, I don't know. Michael Byrd could have just as easily killed any one of the cops that was around Ashli Babbitt. That bullet doesn't just stop when it hits someone's torso. Reckless, murderous. The Department of Justice has reached a preliminary settlement with the family of Ashli Babbitt, Air Force veteran and Trump supporter who was shot and killed by Capitol Police officer at the January 6, 2021 riot. So at least they're not calling it an insurrection. Where are we at? Yeah, New York Post. Lawyers from Trump's DOJ and Babbitt's estate informed the DC federal judge Friday of an agreement that has been reached in principle in the $30 million wrongful death. It doesn't mean it's a $30 million settlement, everybody, so don't get ahead of yourselves. Robert Sticht, the Babbitt family lawyer, said a formal settlement agreement is expected to be signed within the next 3 weeks, according to ABC News. The U.S. Capitol Police Lieutenant Michael Byrd shot an unarmed Babbitt, 35, as she attempted to climb through a broken window of a barricaded door within the Capitol building on January 6. Babbitt was attempting, with hundreds of others of Trump supporters, to enter the Speaker's lobby of the Capitol building as some of the members of Congress were being evacuated and others were sheltering in place due to overwhelming riot. Only one shot was fired, hitting her in the shoulder. She was transported from the riot to Washington Hospital Center, where she succumbed to her injuries. Byrd was cleared of wrongdoing after an internal investigation by the U.S. Capitol, which found he acted in self-defense. Oh my goodness. He was hailed as a hero. He said he saved countless lives. Babbitt, San Diego, served 14 years in the Air Force, including time spent in Afghanistan, Iraq. Now, can you imagine serving your country so that some fuckwad with a gun can kill you? And by the way, he is a fuckwad. I apologize for swearing. Michael Byrd did not exactly have the most stellar record as a police officer. This is a jackass, by the way, who left his firearm in the Capitol building bathroom for an extended period of time. And he had other incidents which would lead you to question his good judgment, of which he had none. It almost looks like he was looking to kill somebody that day, make an example. And we're going to get to that in a second because there is something to that. Some emails that some people don't know about. Before her death, Babbitt's social media history showed that she was a major Trump supporter, would sometimes post about the political conspiracy theory QAnon. Back in March, Trump said he was going to look into Babbitt's death and financial compensation for the January 6 rioters who served time in prison. This is a middle finger to the Biden administration. I mean, this is the Trump administration coming in now and basically saying this settlement, whatever it's going to be, is an acknowledgement of government wrongdoing, but not my government's wrongdoing. And it is something of a middle finger to Biden that he is going to show him that what his administration, the Biden did, inexcusable, tyrannical. And so this settlement, in as much as it comes out of taxpayer dollars and it comes from the American government, is an admonishment of what Biden and his regime did during their 4 years of destruction and devastation. Now, one can only hope he's going to do the same thing with the Jan 6ers at large, to make a statement that, no, we are not only not going to pursue the injustices of your administration, we're going to compensate the victims of those injustices and blame it on you. Maybe he does the same thing with some of the persecutions that were instituted by the Biden administration. Maybe by pardoning Roger Ver. Why would he want to continue to pursue a prosecution by the Biden administration of Bitcoin Jesus when he's trying to normalize Bitcoin and even talk about having it not be taxable? We'll see what happens with that. It's a good indication that not only is Trump cutting ties with what the Biden administration did, he's not shy to pay people to compensate them for those injustices. All right. That's the good news, in as much as there can be good news in terms of compensating the estate for the murder of of Ashli Babbitt. You may or may not remember that Michael Byrd raised. Does anybody know this? Do you guys know that Michael Byrd had a go F me? Before I bring it up, I want to see in the chat. Does everybody remember that Michael Byrd had a go F me? Because he had to raise money for himself because he was getting harassed, et cetera, et cetera. Does anybody know how much he raised in his go F me? I'm going to see if everybody knows. Yeah, that cop, that killer took a victory lap on the media, says the real Arthur Blake. So people didn't know that he had a Give Send Go. He did. Do you know how much he raised on it? Well, peanuts compared to Carmelo Anthony, but not quite peanuts compared to Carmelo Anthony. Here, look at this. Is this it? This is it. Like I feel crazy because I remember these things. Then like it's impossible to find them when they get memory hold afterwards. He actually raised $164,000 on his Give Send Go. Concerned Close Friends is organizing this fundraiser. Lieutenant Michael Bird is a national hero. No, he's not. He's a 28-year veteran, Capitol Police, served over a decade, yada, yada, yada. When an armed mob, that's a fucking lie. I mean, that's a lie right there. They were not armed, period. So when a mob, not armed, overran the Capitol with the intent of disrupting Congress and preventing them from certifying, oh, no. We have to kill somebody for that. What does it say here? Many unable to respond with force because they were overrun by the violent mob lie, were badly beaten and tasered. I'd go with lie on that too. When the mob began to enter the final ring of protection inside the inner sanctum of the house, Lieutenant Bird was in the forefront of the last line of defense, obligated to use lethal force. Serenity now. Lieutenant Bird, life had been threatened, lie. He had been forced from his, obligated to use lethal force. Lieutenant Bird's life has been threatened and he has been forced from his home. His wife, also former law enforcement, has had to close, rather than living their dream home. And he can't live in his dream home? Well, neither can Ashli Babbitt that he killed. I'll need to read the rest of this crap. He raised $164,000. There's another lesser known part of this story that was reported at the time, went under the radar. The reason why I know about it is because when I had Tarek Johnson in, the Capitol Police officer, he's like, I'm fairly certain it was Tarek Johnson who told this man. I don't know who else it would have been. Oh, this is Adam Kinzinger donated to the Jan 6 killer. Yeah, sorry. Just remember, by the way, this is the Republican. Donated it to Michael Bird, his Give Send Go, the man who summarily executed Ashli Babbitt. Okay. At the time, after why did he raise all this money? What was the point of this? There were some emails, very interesting emails, that, I'm going to keep bringing up the wrong page here. There was an email that people are not aware of. That's very suspicious. Screenshot, this is it. Yes, here we go. It's very, very difficult to read. This is Michael Bird to Thomas DeBias Memorial Fund. And the wording of this email could cause someone to think that there was something of an agreement between authorities and Michael Bird. Let me see something. Do I want to start from the bottom? Here we go. This is Michael Bird wrote to whomever. Good evening. Can you advise the status of the Memorial Fund and the background check? Then you got DeBias to Mike. I'll let Karen update you on the background check, but for the Memorial Fund, we have all your information. We are working on an announcement from the entire department as to how folks injured on Jan 6 can apply to the fund, and we will consider all the claims at that point. Tad, says Michael Bird, I don't think it's fair to me and my wife. You know our situation and what we've been dealing with. What you proposed could take months. Our expectation was that this would be done soon. Now you're telling me we got to wait for the rest of the department to even file claims, get evaluated, and go through the process we have endured for months. This is blatantly wrong to treat us like that. This was never proposed to us in this manner. Now we're being grouped in with everyone else. Wow, that is really bad for you. This is really bad for you all to do this to us when you knew we're expecting to have the funds soon. So disappointing. Mike, I'm sorry you are disappointed. I find that surprising since we have already provided you $36,000 in unrestricted retention funds. You know what the rest of the department is receiving? $3,000 each. And please be sure to decline that amount since we already provided the maximum we can provide to you. Yes, you are being lumped in with the other 91 officers who suffered injuries that day. The Memorial Fund is for the entire department, not one officer. It will take months, but more like weeks. It will not take months, but more like weeks, during which we are providing you housing, training to take a department shotgun home, and extensive security upgrades at your personal residence. I don't think that's unfair. Tad, this is a good one. We play the game as you request, and then once we're in compliance, you guys change the rules on us. Am I crazy, or does this sound a little bit suspicious? We play the game as you request, then once we're in compliance, you guys change the rules on us. If we were aware that our situation would be looped in with everyone on the department, then we would have been better prepared. We were expecting this was for us, and everyone else has their own situation. They would all be handled on a case-by-case basis. The amount received for the retention fund was less than $24,000 after taxes. Please prepare a letter defining how we will be reimbursed for the security upgrades before we make any purchases. I will have to use credit card and pay for those things recommended. I will have video of the work being done, before and after pictures, and all receipts for materials, equipment, labor for installation. Unfortunately, I can no longer rely on a verbal conversation. This has proven ineffective for me and my wife. To ensure we are on the same page and have the same expectations, this would be the desired method. Regards, Mike. Just so you know, my wife is vividly upset and in tears because of this news. We have to wait additionally for the fund and can't get approval to start the GoFundMe. Happy holidays. Encryptus, what do you think this all sounds like? Am I getting too crazy? This is just him getting angry after the fact? Or does this,
It sounds like he was promised payoff. He promised money. Like, it doesn't sound legit.
And then when he doesn't get it, he starts a GoFundMe. And I remember at the time, there were a lot of anonymous donations as well. It's fucking criminal. It's criminal. In my humble opinion, hashtag no defamation. Anyhow, now the administration's looking into it. There would be something to look into for that, because there reeks of conspiracy. This man does what he does, gets summarily exonerated, praised by the media, security upgrades, lump sum payments, massive amounts of money, a huge GoFundMe. It smells like Chinatown. I don't even know if that's the line from the movie. I know it is not. And hopefully I don't get canceled for that. Oh man. Yeah, just from stuff from, this was not from the time. This was from later last year. Democrats press Capitol Police to show favoritism to officer who killed January 6 protester, memos show. House Democrats pressured U.S. Capitol Police to provide special funds. We've seen this. So this was the article. By the way, I'm gonna get better people at putting show notes into the description of the video. So this will be in there along with all the other links, so that it'll make it easier for you lazy bums to find the receipts if you don't want to go and actually just Google it on your own. I'm joking, but I'm not joking, because Viva, if you take anything virtually verbatim, except for my 60 Minutes tweet, you'll be able to find it. But I'll make it easier, because it's a good habit to get into. And that's what's going on with Michael Bird and Ashli Babbitt. It's an injustice, period. And you can never, some things are irreversible. Death is irreversible. And $30 million, it's like that line from Good Will Hunting, like when what's her name? Don't tell me her name. It has an M in it. She's got the big jawbone, big cheek thing there. I'm going to need it. Amy? The woman from Good Will Hunting, what's her name? It has the British woman. She talks like this. She's like a little chipmunk. Okay, when someone in the chat gets it. King of Biltong says, try our Biltong, almost 50% protein, packed with B12, creatine, iron, and zinc, and much more. Perfect snack to add to your weekly meal prep. Biltong USA, code Viva for 10% off. Ashley? No, that's Ashli Babbitt. What's the woman? Okay, no, that's it. I have to go to the chat. What's the name of the actress in the movie? Minnie Driver. There was an M in it. When Minnie Driver says in Good Will Hunting, when she's, when Goodwill is giving her the problem for living off the trust fund that her dead father gave her, she said, do you think there's not a day in my life I wouldn't trade all that money in the world to have another day with my father? $30 million is, or even 10 million, whatever it is. It's an acknowledgement of the wrongdoing. It's blood money, literally, that no one's ever going to feel good being in possession of. Although not quite as much of the blood money as Carmelo Anthony's $550,000, but that's his family, who's also needs security updates, needs a new home. That's the Ashli Babbitt kind of some form of justice at the end of the injustice, but there will never be justice. Chet Chisholm the man from up in Canada, says, update on the missing children. Ground search and rescue operations have now ceased. No evidence of the children's whereabouts have been found. RCMP will now be taking over all operations. You get old enough and you grow cynical. Who was it in Cryptus? Would you remember this one offhand? It was the mother who was crying about her kidnapped kid, and then it turns out she... not saying that happened there at all. I mean, and that's also the most terrible thing is like that's the first thing that everybody thinks, and God forbid.
Case from Colorado.
Yeah, it's terrible. You imagine like that's what everybody thinks. It's the first reaction, and these parents, if they lost their kids, that they know that people think that the parents had something to do with it. Biltong is great, says Andy Pearson. Oh, all right. What else did we have on the menu for today? We're going to move on to some fun
Barstool.
stuff. Oh, Barstool. Do I have those videos? Where's the... Oh, shoot. I didn't get the videos for Barstool. Well, hold on. I know that I had the video somewhere. Hey, Encryptus, can you find the Barstool video?
The with him talking, the one.
Let's see how many we can get. Him talking, Mo Khan apologizing, not apologizing. Then he was. Oh, let's see. If you all Mo Khan apologizing, then Mo Khan on Stu Peters. There were 3 videos. We don't. The story is, people, for those of you who don't know, I don't know how it happens. They were at a Barstool bar in Philadelphia, and on your birthday, I guess they bring up a sign for you on your birthday, and these patrons came up with the sign that said "fuck the Jews," and the bartendresses, or the former bartendresses showed it or handed the sign out. The details of how this all transpired, I'm not exactly certain. But there was a guy involved in it named Mo Khan, who at first denied being involved in it and then admitted to having done it, but as a joke. It's so bad. It's so bad. Everything about this, I'll have to get the what's his face? Dave Portnoy, who talked about
dropping. I found the short clip and dropping the full clip right now into your DM in Twitter.
DM in Twitter. Okay, let's go in here. Yeah, because he's got a GoFundMe now, people. It's the new game of all social media. Hold on, here we go. This is Dave Portnoy talking about the incident. Call me a callous person. I couldn't care less that someone had a sign that said "fuck the Jews." I mean, and maybe I get to say that because, as I've never said anything as a Jew to rationalize my opinion or delegitimize anybody else's. I understand why people find it offensive. At the end of the day, it is just words on a paper. Consequence-free words? Hell no. That this kid's going to lose his scholarship. He was going to some Temple University, which is an ironic name for the university. He'll suffer the consequences of his decision to use free speech. Do I find it to be such an affront? I might have even, been a little more gracious than Portnoy, who either humorously or unintentionally humorously said he's going to send the kid to Auschwitz to teach him a lesson. Is this the clip here? Let's see what this says here.
So, yeah, my initial reaction was like, I'm going to fucking burn these people to the ground, their families, everything. And it's like, you know what? Please just...
Did I do that?
Culprits who I know are super involved in it. Talk to the families. I'm sending these kids to Auschwitz. They've agreed to go. That's, of course, the Holocaust concentration camps. Been in touch with the Crafts, who run the anti-hate group. We're going to send these kids to Auschwitz. And
some people might find that to be a cancelable, tongue-in-cheek, humorous joke to make. So that's what happened. He says, I'm gonna give the kids a trip to the concentration camps in Poland, and they'll see the horrors of the Holocaust, so they'll know better than to make crass, edgy, stupid ass jokes if that's what it was. The only problem was that
the video of the sign. If you want to add that in there too.
Do I want to show the picture of the sign?
It's not just the picture. There's a video from the club that night.
Is it this one right here? Yeah, I mean, it's so. The response to this, in my humble opinion, is so exaggerated and over the top from Portnoy. Like, when did they had a banner at a football game that was offensive, and then people went crazy. Like, you bring more attention to it. Oh, I see what it is. It's a young waitress holding up the sign. I'm literally shaking, people. I'm joking. I'm not. Hold on. If I may, she looks particularly. Oh, she got a cross on her necklace. So that's not a Jewish star on her neck. Okay, I thought she might have been particularly offended. So that's the horrendous thing that occurred at Dave Portnoy's bar. He went at first he went nuclear, then he sort of went a little bit more tame. But Mo Khan, did you get the apology from Mo Khan? His video where he's asking for financial support now? Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, this is also from Mo Khan, who seems to have bad judgment in general. This is Mo Khan. This is assault, by the way. Just so you know, this is actual criminal assault. That it's just water that you're throwing on anyone, let alone a homeless person, is assault. Because nobody knows if it's water. It could very well be acid. But this is Mo Khan. Throwing water on a homeless person because who's... I mean, maybe it's staged also. Maybe it's not what it says it is. And he's not actually throwing water on a homeless person. He's just making it look like he is. Idiots. The world is filled with idiots. But let me see if I can find his apology. Because it's the stuff of how not to do an apology.
I think I've got it here. I'm dropping it into your DM.
Okay, let's see if we got this. Because this one is... Mo Khan may be the greatest thing that ever happened to Jews to fight anti-Semitism. No, okay, this is him on.
No, you want the Stu Peters one.
Well, we're gonna bring that one up anyhow. But if you can find the apology, where he says, "I'm the victim in this," that Dave Portnoy chose to put this on blast and ruin my life, and as a result of me, I didn't do it, but I did it as an edgy joke, and now Dave Portnoy is making me suffer and. He's the bad man. This is him on Stu Peters. We will not play the whole thing, but we're going to play a portion of this.
And holding my ground as far as I can.
You know, we talk a lot about Jewish supremacy on this program. You're an innocent man, but over the past few days, this disgusting Jew has internationally destroyed your reputation. He's threatened you. He's threatened your family. He's had your scholarship to Temple University revoked. Would you call that Jewish supremacy?
To an extent, yes, I believe that is, just because it goes to show how much control that one group could have on anyone's potential career. I mean, I've seen arguments saying that if the same sign said, fuck the Muslims, fuck the blacks, fuck the Christians, the impact that those signs would have had is not anywhere near the impact that, I mean, I've seen arguments saying that if the same sign said, fuck the Muslims, fuck the blacks, fuck the Christians, the impact that those signs would have had is not anywhere near the impact that
I've seen arguments.
He's part right. If they said fuck the Christians, no one would give a shit.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you on that. First of all, we saw what happened to the woman who used the N-word allegedly on an alleged 5-year-old allegedly autistic child. We saw what happened there. There was outrage and there was support. So it's so stupid. And I mean, first of all, Stu Peters, this disgusting Jew is ruining your life because you put out a sign that said, fuck the Jews. And the university, what do you think the university is going to do when you do that and then upload it to your Instagram page? This is where it went from, I would have forgiven Mo Khan if he just came out and said, look, it was a stupid, edgy joke. It was no ill intent. And I'm sorry. Okay. Going on Stu Peters and now saying it's the disgusting Jews' fault, referring to David Portnoy, who I didn't know was Jewish until the day before yesterday, that it's his fault that Mo Khan, who put that sign up, lost his... What kind of university is going to want to associate with a kid who exercises his free speech like that? Everyone's got free speech. This university doesn't have to associate with him. And I'm pretty certain that they have clauses in whatever scholarship they gave him that if you go out and commit an act, which would be an absolute embarrassment to the status of the university, they get to pull your scholarship. an apology. Full-throated, categoric. It was a stupid, edgy joke. But then his apology on Twitter, where he comes out and says, what did he say? I didn't do it. I did it. It was an edgy joke. And it's to raise awareness of Israel's treatment of the Palestinians. That's one hell of a way to make sure that you do exactly the opposite of what you're intending to do. What is his give, send, go at right now? That is the question. Mo Khan, give, send, go. Let's see what it's at. Help defend me against David Portnoy attacks. Okay, he's struggling to gain traction here, people. Let's see. This is it. Help defend me against Dave Portnoy attacks. Over the weekend, I was present at an establishment where an incident occurred that Dave Portnoy sensationalized. Look at that. Sociopathic people, narcissists. They don't ever do anything. Things happen. I was there at an establishment. An incident occurred, and then Dave Portnoy sensationalized it and made me the bad man. Sensationalized it to his 9.25 million followers, amplifying it into a global news story. I was not responsible for the sign, and I don't know who was. However, it was clearly provocative because it reminds people of the acts of injustice Israel is perpetrating around the world. So I reported on it. That's his excuse for how it ended up on his Instagram page. Are we realizing that this is becoming something of a grift right now? Like in the actual sense?
His apologies in your DM now.
Okay, let's get this one up. He's not doing quite as well as the others. He's not doing quite as well as Carmelo Anthony. Not doing quite as well as Shiloh. She's at 700,000.
700K. Yeah.
Yep. What was I doing here? I'm going here and bringing up that one in the DMs here. Let's get this one up here. Oh, his apology. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one we can play. First of all, he put on a suit. He put on a tie, at least. So good for him. He dressed for the occasion. Mo Khan, people, digging a hole deeper than the one he originally dug.
I know that the sign was provocative because it reminded people a lot of the unjust things that Israel is doing around the world. Dave Portnoy and his friends can choose to be triggered.
Okay, let's just assume that he believes that Israel is doing unjust things around the world. Let's assume he believes it. There's a lot of people that believe it, and it's not because he's criticizing Israel that he's anti-Semitic, period. If the purpose was to be provocative, to highlight injustices perpetrated by foreign nations, has there ever been fuck the Libyan slave trade? Fuck China? Fuck, I don't know, Romanian annulling elections? No. There hasn't been. And that's the defense. It was provocative to raise awareness. Well, you exercised your free speech, you raised awareness, and now there are blowbacks in institutions that don't want to have anything to do with your deliberate provocativeness for whatever you think is your social justice cause to be deliberate. It didn't say fuck Israel, by the way. It didn't say fuck Netanyahu. It said fuck the Jews. But it's not anti-Semitic, everybody. It's anti-Israel, except it doesn't mention Israel or the Israeli government. It just mentions Jews.
Over the sentiments of that sign and even kick me out of the establishment forever. However, they have no right to destroy my life over free speech and ultimately something that was an edgy joke. Frankly, they're more worried about destroying and uprooting me than the thousands of people getting destroyed and uprooted in genocide. That sign had no effects in terms of killing any Jews. However,
he's starting to sound like the Harvard principal, like, well, you can advocate for genocide, you just can't act on it. All right, so you're saying we can, so long as you don't act on your political calls for genocide, that's cool by campus standards? Oh, just
Dave Portnoy didn't do anything to him. He called it out, and the university did it. He doesn't work for the university. He didn't kick him out of school.
No, but
words
for,
have
not just that.
Sometimes I'm a free speech guy too. But words have consequences.
Well, and not just that, it has a material impact on Portnoy's business. I mean, you can't, whether or not Portnoy went over the top, whether or not, sending them to Auschwitz, and I think it's a very, very not the right way to say it. And also some will say that looks like re-education and not actual forgiveness. I doubt it's, and I also, tongue in cheek, send him. You think he'll go to the the center at Auschwitz, and he'll argue with them as to whether or not, he'll argue the math like everyone does on the internet. It's technically impossible to have incinerated that many bodies in that many years, so therefore the number's off. And that's what he'll do if you send him for a re-education seminar at Auschwitz. But the bottom line is, whether or not Portnoy went a little over the top, he could have been more forgiving, right up until Mo Khan becomes a dumbass and doubles down on it and says, I'm not sorry, fuck you, and then goes on Stu Peters, where Stu Peters is talking about that disgusting Jew, Dave Portnoy. Oh yeah, Portnoy's the problem for getting angry and protecting his business, his livelihood, his reputation from this. Yeah, Portnoy's the problem if you're arguing from the conclusion that the Jews. I think that got more attention than it ever possibly deserved.
Streisand effect.
Well, that's the other thing. Anyways, that's the Portnoy situation. I hate these stupid things. I want to see what the chat has to say about it. Stu Peters rules, says Joey Coffins. Unfortunately, set aside everything else. I don't the the defamatory libels or whatever you want to call Stu Peters. He made 3 material mistakes in journalism, which have compromised my ability to have any reliance on anything he says. The snake venom in the jab, which even the most diehard jab critics said drop. When he came out and put Pat King on blast by saying Pat King figured out how to break the COVID rules, which wasn't the case. There was a third one in there somewhere. But anyhow, Stu Peters has found his niche, he's found his audience, and so he's found his audience. I'm not going to read any of these chats, actually.
It's probably not a good idea to read any Rumble chats today, because it's a little off the chain with a couple of the people that are in there kind of causing some fun.
Well, Layla Decker says Hitler was not systematically murdering Jews. That is a lie. Oh, okay. Is the attenuating statement to that he was murdering other people in addition to the Jews? I mean, that's.
If you want to see some interesting stuff, watch the chat for a few minutes, because, man, today's one of those days.
It is. It's so wild that it's the talk of anything involving Israel and the Jews that sets. Well, no, that's not true. Even it was the same type of thing with the H-1B1 visas back over Christmas, and Layla Decker says more Germans died than Jews. Let me just let me just double check something. How many Germans died during World War II? Approximately 7.4 million Germans died during World War II. Okay, so the statement is factually correct. And what? I mean,
it's the Jews German.
Well, no, they were actually the majority of the Jews were actually in Poland and Austria that were taken over afterwards, and that's where they got the Jews to send to the camps. But that's like saying more Chinese people were killed during World War II than Jews, which they were. The first statement was that Hitler wasn't systematically killing the Jews, and now you're saying just because 7.4 million Germans died over the estimated 6 million Jews, that makes the Holocaust less attenuated. But there is no point in entertaining certain types of discussion on this, so we'll move on from it. That being said, I think we've done a good job today, people. Unusual suspects tonight, where we actually cover the Portnoy situation and a bunch of other good stuff. And now I would like to go see who we decide to. Oh yes, can we? Is Tucker Carlson still live? Oh no, but it's a pre-recorded live, so that's not.
Do we want looking right now? Give me just a quick moment.
Yeah, I was saying I really wanted to write at Tucker, but I doubt he's watching the chat. So there's got redacted news. But we should pick a smaller channel and share the link.
Going to the live right now. Bear with me. Oh, you know what? It was a good one. Red Pill News. The audience liked that last time.
Okay, so let's do Red Pill News. Are they live now?
They are, and I'm loading it up in Rage.
Spinnaker says Trump has nominated Casey Means to be the next Surgeon General. That's wild. There's going to be a lot of A lot of people who are going to have controversial thoughts about that. Svihansa says, just join the stream. First thing I hear is Jews. Welcome to the Newspeak USA. That is on our local side. All right. Well, let's just go to the chat over on Rumble. By the way, before you go, make sure you give a thumbs up. Make sure that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. Louis the Lobster on Amazon. Viva Fry merch. Louis the Lobster is illustrated by Abigail Martin, the daughter of one of our locals members. Many Jews were German. True, but unless I'm mistaken, and I'm fairly certain I'm not, the majority of the Jews were in Poland and Austria when the Germans went and took over those parts for the purposes of eradicating Jewry from Europe. Sleeping Giant 111 says, Jewry declared war with Hitler first in 1933. Jewry is in quotes, so I don't know how to... And other Jews were... Yep.
If you could show that nice little blue book that you have behind you there.
Oh, yes, that is the book. I keep this one right here. Louis the Lobster. Hold on. Am I in? I'm on Louis the Lobster. Returns to the... I'm going to flip to one random page. Here. Oh, no, that's too close to the end. No, it's not. Here, I'll show you. It's a beautiful book, people. Get one for anybody you know who's having a baby. And if you want to have a baby, get one. It'll be the international sign to your wife of, I want to have a baby. Or if you're the woman, to your husband, it'll be the international sign of, let's make a baby. At which point, your husband will say, yes, ma'am. Thank you for the offer. I thought you'd never ask. And, we got Bass Tank. Shut up. Bass Tank has now become a member of our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community. Bass Tank, welcome. And we shall be enjoying the locals after party, which we're going to start in a matter of minutes. Let me just check my DMs here. And I have not been summoned to pick up a child at track yet, so I'll be good. All right, so we're going to end it. Viva's got some daddy duties. Duties. Come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Right now, we're going over to Red Pill News, so let him know from where you came. Enjoy. Make sure to give him a thumbs up. Drop some love in the chat. And Finboy Slick says, psychologically, I think the whole Jews run the world thing gives people a convenient and simple excuse for the world going to shit and spares them the responsibility of improving themselves and their community. Well, there is statistical overrepresentation. You can't deny it. It's like it's a source of pride. It's funny that statistical overrepresentation is a source of pride when people like it, and it becomes a smear when people don't like it. Oh, all that to say, thank you for being here, Rumble. See you tomorrow. It is Wednesday today, correct? Thursday is tomorrow. I believe we have an interview scheduled, a pre-recorded for tomorrow, and then we'll have the 4 o'clock show. James Lindsay said it on Twitter, so I can share it now. Said we've been discussing a live discussion. Timing hasn't worked out yet. We'll see if it does. I respectfully told James on Twitter I disagree with his definition of woke because now it just means everything. And we'll see if it happens, people. If it doesn't happen, we will find many other people to have interesting discussions with. Go on Rumble. Enjoy your day. We're going to take this party over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Roostang says Mo is an idiot. Yep. He's a young kid. He's a fucking moron. All you had to do, it's not even a question of bending the knee. He wants it to be a joke. He's sensitive about the it was inappropriate. My apologies. It doesn't lose it. Now you go on Stu Peters. What do you think the university is going to do about hearing not even what Mo Khan said on Stu Peters, hearing what Stu Peters said? Doesn't matter. Anyways, that's it. Youth is wasted on the young and wisdom is wasted on the old. No, hold on. I don't think wisdom is wasted on the old as a proverb, but youth is wasted on the young. And he'll grow and he'll learn, and that'll be it. Okay, so we're going to end on Rumble. Thank you all for being here. Come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com for the locals after party. And go raid Red Pill. Let them know from whence you came. And if you go somewhere else, go to Redacted if you're not going to go there. And again, let them also know you came from Viva. Bada bing, bada boom. Peace out, Rumble. Oh, I did it too early. Okay. The kid has to double down, says Sammy. No. I mean, first of all, I appreciate, I mean, especially if the grift is going to be go get a give, send, go. But no, he doesn't have to double down. Yeah, it's Dave Portnoy's fault for putting it. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay, I hate it all. Let's go to the chat and see what's going on here. I'm going to refresh. Do I want to have a second energy drink?
No, probably not.
Says you, Encryptus. I want to have a second energy drink.
And okay, so we talk about this on a regular basis, and 2 hours later, you regret it, and you comment, "I shouldn't have had that energy drink."
It's 5:30.
It's too late because you're going to say that in an hour from now. I shouldn't have had that energy drink.
Should I have a Topo Chico? A Topo
There you
Chico.
go. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
but it's owned by Coca-Cola now. Okay, free the beagles. There's a Jay Bhattacharya, NIH shuts down lab accused of killing beagles. Fiddlewhitch says, Viva. Children gone missing in Canada is a centuries-long abomination. Yes, Fiddlewitch, but before I click on the link, let me just show what I'm looking at here. Before I click on the link, I guarantee you that's going to be about Indigenous children. I shouldn't guarantee. I suspect that's going to be about Indigenous children. Is it about Indigenous? This is 2.25 hours. My goodness, remember what it used to look like? Yeah, it's about Indigenous children. These kids, not that it's, I'm not saying they weren't Indigenous. They're too. I don't think they were Indigenous. I'm fairly certain they weren't. The Indigenous missing persons problem is a very, very well-known, well-documented, long-standing problem. And then there have been some notorious cases of, Fiddlewitch says, Viva, African Nova Scotians, probably the Moorish society carefully kept out of our history lessons. Sorry, I was just looking at a meme, not laughing at that comment. Fit in full video, Ashli Babbitt's final 19 minutes. You know what? I'm going to open that up. I'm going to watch that afterwards. I'm not going to watch that now. That's okay. But I'll stop it. Dismiss and put that on pause. And now let's get to the other side of the chat. Now, on the right-hand side of the chat, we've got me looking like a very large person. Neurodivergent says it's cherry cobbler coffee from the coffee brand company. Surprisingly good. Hyphen says, should I have another whiskey? Oh, go on. Jay Mangan says, LOL, no Viva, you regret it later. By the way, I had a nightmare about a giant lion that was on my something. Neurodivergent says, I'm drinking coffee and an energy drink. One time, I actually tried, I don't know if anybody remembers this. It was back in the day of fun videos. I ran a Red Bull through an Italian espresso maker with coffee to see what that would taste like. Make an Italian espresso with a Red Bull. And it was undrinkable. Can we go back here for just 1 second? You realize, you look back on it. I'm not sure that, I know people say like, you're going to look back on it and you're going to wish you were there then. Except for the behavior of the children. I'm not, first of all, also just, it doesn't even feel like my life. Look at this. That was me.
Okay, I'll be honest. I set the camera up in the car before I opened the trunk. One.
The kids were.
Nope, not yet.
Yeah, it's the cuteness of the kids in retrospect that is beyond description. And they say that it's the old thing from The Simpsons. The sooner they talk, the sooner they talk back. And my best friend's father said he had a great poem that children are born with sweet smelling breath, and then the older they get, the sour and more foul their breath gets until they're like 90-year-old awful. Well, I say not awful people, but you get old and then you become like a 50-year-old lawyer, lying scumbag son of a, using God's breath to do whatever bad in the world. The little voices, says Martha. Cultivated Mind says, yep, coffee and carbonation do not mix. I've tried with other sodas, undrinkable. That's because Cultivated Mind, I was always wondering, like, they don't make a carbonated coffee drink. And whether or not, go for it.
It's the bitterness. So CO2 increases the acidity, which coffee is already acidic, so it doesn't go really well. It has to be a more basic, a more alkaline.
That's very interesting.
Fluid.
I'd actually never thought about that. Gaetan says 6 p.m. martini time. Hold on. Gaetan, it's only 6 p.m. in Newfoundland. Gaetan J, which is the tip question, the tipped comment. There's maybe Newfoundland is an hour and a half ahead. Anyhow, unless you wrote that 30 minutes ago and you're an hour ahead. But no, for me, my martini time is like 8 o'clock because I got to make sure everybody's in the house and no more driving. My wife, she's got dinner plans with the neighborhood girls and they're going to Miami. So I've got to do solo parenting solo parenting and make sure that I don't forget kids at track meets. Like it's like the episode from The Simpsons where Homer's sitting there saying, "I'm on my way," and he's reading the answer from Wheel of Fortune. I won't forget. Plus, I know I got Encryptus in my ear to remind me. Boopsy says Ashli B was very short. I still think Ashli B was either trying to escape the guys around her. She punched one of them, or she was lifted up to the window by those thugs working together with the cops and Bird, because immediately prior to it, the cops simultaneously moved away from the doors. I wish I had access to all the videos. I'm going to go watch the Tom Fitton video. I don't think there's any of that type of like putting her there against her will, whether or not she was trying to get away from anybody. They were going to go through the door, and I mean, they're smashing a door and it doesn't look good, but the punishment for that is not summary execution. Encryptus in the backdrop says, I have been doing some research on a hunch. Airplane crashes. The first 5 months of 2025 already show more U.S. crashes with casualties than the same period for any of the past 30 years.
By double.
I did something. There was a comparison between Biden's first 100 days and Trump's first 100 days. But by double, you say?
Yeah. So generally speaking, there's the numbers here. In the same period, the largest previous one was 123. We're about 250.
Reported accidents.
With all accidents that had some casualties, and January 1st to February 29. January 1st through February of 29 of the following year was 173. And
casualties, deaths.
Casualties means with deaths.
Okay. How many deaths? Because the question would be whether or not there's more small plane crashes, or whether or not there's fewer crashes, more big planes.
I specifically did the research on pure aircraft crashes, which includes all aspects: helicopters, small planes, and large planes that had actual death casualties in them. It just because we've been seeing it in the news for so much, it's like this doesn't seem normal, and it's quite literally at double the highest previous rate.
Either DEI catching up or sabotage. Let me go to
good time for a road trip and not a plane flight.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm not. We're going to go road trip. The other question is, well, first I'm going to be in Tennessee. No, not in Tennessee, in Georgia, for the veterans build that Ginger Ninja is participating in. So I'm going to be there for 3 days. Then I think we're going to do a nice, not cross-country road trip, but a good 2 weeks. And I figure we can let everybody in the house pick a national monument, and then we're going to figure out a way to do it all. How far away am I from Yellowstone National Park?
Like 3.5 day drive.
Okay, well, then that's not going to happen. We'll see. Okay. Friendly reminder about Terrence Poppin Redonkulous as a show guest. He has a great show last night. Encryptus has his info. Encryptus, we'll talk about that afterwards. Boopsy said that. Okay, 6 p.m. Martine time. I know that I missed one here. Psychologically. No, this is the one I missed. I'm not going to be able to see the whole thing. Well, I'm sorry. I can do it because I can bring this up. I can share it right over here. And then go to tipped here. And then we're going to go to Sammy says, my cousin was born and raised in northwestern Germany in the 80s. So West Germany was still part of the free world. She told me that her kindergarten class had to go on a field trip to a concentration camp. She recounted how they were all walked into the area where the gas chambers were and told how their grandfathers and countrymen killed millions. They also warned they could never grow up to do the same. It was absolutely scarring for her. If you wonder why Germany is so lost now, that's why all those kids are now the ruling class so well. That was the operating theory as to why Angela Merkel opened her border, or not her border, opened Germany's border to Syrian refugees as part of the Holocaust guilt that Germans, second, third generation Germans have been brought up with. The irony, however, which leads to the other conspiracy theory, is that by opening up the border to arguably a population that's unfriendly to the Jews, it was Angela and Europe's way of finishing what Hitler failed to do during World War II, and the irony that if it's Holocaust guilt, what they did was very counterproductive to the Jews currently living in Germany, because whatever the cause that you think is, those two cultures don't coexist peacefully. And then you can choose to place your blame wherever you want. TT Fulltimer, do we want to look at this? I won't bring it up. But if they're running ads on it, Fox, when is this? 5 hours ago. Alligator killed a 61-year-old Port Davenport woman, and her husband passed over the gator while in a... after she and her husband passed over the gator. Shut up. I'll watch this. I don't think we want to watch this. Oh, God, being killed by a gator. I was talking with a local Floridian who was actually born and raised in Florida, like several generation Floridian, which is rare to find. Usually it's like New York or New Jersey, or at least first generation parents from New York and New Jersey. And he was saying, like, like the gators that we see where we go fishing in it, he thinks it's a male and a female. He says, you fall in, the male is going to take you out into the middle of the water, and all the other gators are going to come in and rip you apart and eat you. Okay, there are better and worse ways of dying, like dying in the midst of passionate lovemaking with your wife and then being suffocated by boobies as they fall on your face is one way to go. Being torn to shreds by an alligator, rolled under the water and drowned, is another way to go. And if I have my pick, I know which one I'm going with. Not suffocated by the boobies, but a heart attack, whatever. While you're doing
so what you're saying is you want to traumatize your wife. Got it.
No, we're going to be 90 years old, and it'll be 90-year-olds doing sexy times. All right, you don't kind of don't even want to think about that. Or maybe we
this whole thing has gone way down.
Let's go to really Red Ginger says self-flagellation, sins of the father, destruction of Western civilization as penance. Who did I just said the sins of the father that I would. Okay, we can have a good. It's not a laugh, by the way, because I do not believe in punishing Justin Trudeau's kid for what his father did. And there was a video that his son has got to go through life being his father's son. And his father is a piece of poo-poo and will always be a piece of poo-poo. But the kid is innocent and doesn't deserve the ire or the life of torture that comes with being the son of a poo-poo until he himself acts like a poo-poo head. He made a song, and I got to tell you, from what they've released, the son's into hip-hop, I guess, or doing, like Canadian hip-hop. It's not half bad.
What are these kids doing?
Is it better than the Australian breakdancer?
Everybody appreciates this is Pachelbel Cannon's chord structure. Okay, so yeah, well, it's better than the Australian breakdancing. Don't you get too close. Baby, when the time passed by, you know why I chose to be first. I'll wait to hear the rest of the song. But I will not give the kid a hard time. You imagine what their upbringing was like with Justin Trudeau as their father, parading them around as political pawns and political tools. The worst part of the Nazi, this is from TT Fulltimer, the worst part of the Nazi party is that long after World War II was over, my best friend's daughters and son-in-law were stationed in Germany. They said if the U.S. pulled out of Germany, it would be Nazi in a few years. Will this... I met a German girl back in the day, like the German girl that I met that I decided to try to go get closer by going to France to study. And then before I could go to France, I met Marion, and then I no longer wanted to go to France. Her grandfather was a Nazi. Like this was in 1999. And I was about to say her name doesn't matter. Her grandfather was a straight up Nazi soldier. But the idea that I would have any resentment towards her, or that I would expect her to have any resentment towards me as a Jew, I mean, it didn't enter my brain. It's so. Then I mean, it's a wild. I don't know how a nation is supposed to either heal from that, recover from that, get over that without somehow, indebting all future generations to the sins of the past. Flip side also, to stigmatize the entire nation for what was done during that era. I mean, I guess we don't really see that out of with Soviet Russia just because it, collapsed and there's nobody really to blame anymore. But it's weird. I don't know, but one thing is for certain: the guilt of it to amount to policy that will result in the destruction of modern day Europe. They're living through it right now. Okay, so someone here has got some heavy words. Let me see something here.
And you're coming up to your out.
Hold on. Oh, in terms of me getting yeeted. Hold on, I'm coming. Okay.
Didn't you say you have to leave?
Well, yeah, I'm just keeping track here. Okay, excellent, comma. I will be leaving in a few minutes. Oh, now my wife is telling me she might get oh God. How do I have 17 text messages? Oh, let me see if I can read this one. The insane shit I keep hearing lately about World War II and the Holocaust is off the charts. It's everywhere, and people who I normally regard as very smart have bought into it hook, line, and sinker. My favorite Holocaust conspiracy is that Auschwitz had a roller coaster, a fucking roller coaster. It's crazy. It is a little crazy, but this is what happens in a post-truth society where people so question everything they've ever been taught and told. They think the earth is flat, and they think I just have to say, like, the Germans, it doesn't even matter. It's like the Germans kept good numbers because they were actually mildly proud of what they were doing at the time. Whether or not you want to say it's 4 million versus 6 million, I appreciate that lumping all of that together in terms of Holocaust denialism is a way to further ferment all of this. Was there a shooting today? I see something from leftists are evil. There has... Oh, this was from the Nashville shooting, because this is that was an old tweet. The other thing is, like, people are shitting on Jordan Peterson in this woke debate and the whole psychopathy thing. I don't think Jordan Peterson is wrong about psychopaths on the internet. And in Cryptus he always says you fight with the bots and the psychopaths and then regret it because it's not pointless. It's destructive, because that's what self-destructive. There's only one thing to do, and it is ignore it. And then I rationalize it to myself. No. I'm not succumbing to the temptation. I'm just talking to other people and using the trolls as the intermediary. Bullshit, Viva. You know you're lying to yourself. You get sucked into it, and then you rationalize it, and you find a justification that allows you to live with your own lie. I'm sufficiently self-aware to tell myself, yes, there was a one yesterday. This idiot says, I followed him forever. I forget. Oh, it was about the conservatives, because they still, about the interview with Mario. And then in the comment section, so like, I followed him forever. I had to unfollow him. He's just off the rails. And I look at you still follow me. They don't do it anymore because I needled them enough that they actually and then they make up crap like, oh, it doesn't matter.
See, your blood pressure is rising. You're getting upset about it over trolls. It doesn't really matter. They're just stupid trolls.
I just pushed all my gland there, and now I hurt something in my neck.
Nice.
I do believe they're like the kids who they thrive off negative energy. Hold on, I got a little top. Do I have anything left in here?
Well, that's what the trolls do. They make comments to make people react, and then they laugh about it. That's what bullies do. And remember in grade school, that's what bullies did. This is just the new version of it.
Roostang says Viva goes down almost every rabbit hole on X there is. Barnes does not. No, Barnes has his hush hushes, and I follow the tweets.
No, Barnes doesn't engage on Twitter though. He drops his bombs on Twitter and walks away.
Yeah, that's. But then I say that's. Garvin68 says breathe, Viva. I have no choice but to breathe. Boopsy says I love you, Viva. I have no choice but to breathe. That is it's when you become conscious of your breath that it actually becomes the hardest. I was explaining to my kid how that chicken, Mike the Headless Chicken, lived for so long without a head. And I was like, do you control your heart beating? He's like, no. Do you control your blood flowing? No, but those are body movements that you have no control over because it's in a part of your brain that you don't control. When you become too aware of your breathing, then it becomes hard. That's for neuroses. Focusing on your breathing is one thing. Getting obsessed by your breathing is another. Neurodivergent says, Viva, best not to feed the trolls. Layla Decker is a good example. Layla Decker. Sorry, I sent her over when I raided over Ricada. Hold on, who's Layla Decker?
Dude, the one you were commenting about in the Rumble chat about the
about the Holocaust. Yeah. And then he read my comment. And then I'm also convinced they try to get you. The sole purpose is try to get you to say something either ironically, sarcastically, out of context, so they can then snip it and try to destroy you.
Oh, 100%. And that's actually why they do that too. They troll the mods pretty hard for that. They literally come in and say mods are gay. Like that, they start the conversation to try to stir shit so they can clip it.
Yeah, what's wrong with being gay? I know that's that's the other thing. It's like people call me all sorts of names. The only one I care about that I hate is being called a liar. Call me gay, I don't know, call me fat, whatever. Trolls equal negative energy vampires, says Astral Doge Plays. Yep. And really red ginger. So we've got Ginger Ninja and we've got really red Ginger. We're going to have a battle between the Ginger Ninja and the really red Ninja. Really red Ginger says apparently first O'Keefe drop is bad for Prince Andrew. Now that you mention that, because I don't know what the drop is about, I know that James, in full dramatic style, said he's got to go dark until his new release, which is going to be on Friday. If it's bad for Prince Andrew, and now I still haven't... Everyone just forgot about Virginia Giuffre, dead. Maybe she's not dead.
There's dozens of rumors about it's going to be this. It's going to be Pfizer. It's going to be something about Pam Bondi.
So nobody knows anything.
It is... There's so many different stories that they're working on. They really are working on a whole bunch of different things. What he is going to announce on Friday night, though, no one really knows. You could have gone.
Yeah, well, in Cryptus Saturday, he had someone who had an extra ticket, and I was going to go, but then I realized it's my nephew's graduation, which I had already committed to, and so I'm not missing my nephew's graduation.
Ray, the person with the tickets, is probably listening right now.
Ray will thank you for the ticket, but I know, from what I understand, I don't want to out the other person who's accepted the ticket. From what I understand, he's well worthy and also an independent journalist.
And I spoke with him, and I asked him. I said, the only thing I ask of you, if you take the ticket, is you come on Viva's show next week and you talk about it. And he said, absolutely done.
Dude, he's always good. Well, when it happens. No, we won't out him, but you guys know him, but he'll come back on. TT Full-Timer says, Viva, 82 and still horny as a 40 nutted goat? What the, a friendly mind turns off. Okay, fine. Let me get this one back off here. And now let's go back into the chat and see what's going on there.
And double check, do you have to go?
Yeah, I think I better just be ready. Okay, no, we got an extra few minutes. Are you sure? Question mark. You have to go take care of the other kid who's, oh my goodness. The joys of homeschooling. You realize why a teacher who doesn't know your kid, who doesn't owe your kid anything, who doesn't love your kid, would not put up with that shit forever. I understand why teachers go crazy. Not their kids, not their problem, and yet they have to deal with them for 8 hours a day. My kid, my problem, my obligation. Anyhow, all that to say, we're gonna go. I'll do something, but I think we've got an extra few minutes here, so we're good. Okay, perfect. Excuse me, tickle in my throat. Going back down to the chat, I appreciate Viva's passion. It will drive him to learn and eventually to wisdom. Eventually, TT. So there's a picture of a cake here. Troy had his first birthday with cake. This was his cake. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to tell you something that I know from experience. Troy's poop is going to be green for about a week. Okay, first of all, this is an amazing cake. The neurotic person in me is looking at the amount of sugar in the... I'm not crazy. I'm crazy. This right here is just like cake sugar. This thing's gonna be delicious. Like I can feel the cake, the icing sugar melting on your tongue. Blue dye makes your poo green. I won't tell you how I know that, but I know that as a fact. And dragon fruit, the red one, not the yellow one, makes it red in no time at all. If you've forgotten that you've eaten dragon fruit, you might think that you're dying. But that looks like a damn good cake. Can you believe this? Hyphen, I remember when Troy was born, is how long we've all been together in this metaphoric world of the interwebs. We've got a Mayan head here. Be sure to stop and smell the flowers. Have a good night. I'm going to go out back and see if that egg from that killdeer is still there. I did, just so everybody knows, I'm not saying I didn't touch it because I'm like protesting so much. I didn't touch it. I'm not an idiot. Plus, that bird would not have let me touch it, even if I wanted to, which I didn't, because I know you don't touch the flipping egg. No. What I noticed is that there were 4 eggs one night, and then the next day there was 1 left. I doubt the 3 hatched, and I don't know where they go afterwards. But I don't know. I'm going to Google this and see how fast the chicks can learn to fly. The bird was there. There was 1 egg left, and when I went back 2 days ago, the egg was there, but the bird wasn't standing guard. And so I don't know if the egg is a dud and not going to hatch, or I don't know. It doesn't take a week. And how long for killdeer eggs to hatch? 5 days? Oh, shut up. 22 to 28 days to hatch. Both parents share in the incubation duties. Duties. While males often incubating at night and females during the day. Okay, cool. But then, so what happened to the other 3 eggs? Did a snake get them or something? It's flipping amazing. Okay, this is funny. Okay, that's actually that actually looks like me.
So it's official. Donald Trump did announce Casey Means as next Surgeon General.
Okay, that's kind of wild. Hold on, I'll text you this. Trump nominated Casey Means as the next Surgeon General, period. Are you in discussion with him, question mark? I think my wife was in talks with Casey. She met him at a conference. The dude's a flipping monster. I think he's like 6'7" or something.
Casey is her.
Callie. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Callie. She met Callie. I thought he was either standing on a chair or she was like standing in a hole. Okay, that's cool. I know that she was talking with him, and we'll see if we can get Callie on.
I dropped the announcement in your DMs.
Oh yeah. Okay, let's go jump to recent messages. Who is Casey? Casey Means, okay, let me bring it up so that people don't know who we're talking about. ABC Politics.
People don't know who she is. Like the Joe Rogan with Casey and Callie Means, or the Tucker episode with Casey and Callie Means. Amazing.
Yeah, I understand. There were some people who thought there was some conspiracy in terms of their connections to, I forget what the conspiracy was, but let me see here, Agent Guru, and it was here. I am pleased to announce that Dr. Casey Means, that's his wife, will be nominated as our next Surgeon General of the United States. Casey has impeccable maha. We'll work closely with our wonderful secretary, John. It's amazing. We were talking about it on the Unusuals. I was talking about the Unusuals. I was on with Jake Lang yesterday. Did anybody in the chat watch the Jake Lang? My hour with him yesterday? I think it was good because we did talk about the tough stuff. Oh, sister, not wife. Thank you, really, Red Ginger. Okay, I got to remember that so I don't ask him if he's married to his sister. I was on with Jake Lang yesterday, and we were talking. We got to my disagreement with what he's doing in terms of his position on Carmelo Anthony and what he said to Austin Metcalf's father. I had, only because he said it publicly, I messaged him privately, said I wouldn't ever lecture or try to publicly shame a grieving father about how I think he should be grieving the death of his son. But Jake is confident in what he's doing, and it's his thing. We talked about that, but we were talking about the pardon and how all of these Jan 6s are out now, and with the settlement of Ashli Babbitt, some of them are thinking it's more likely or on the horizon that they too get a settlement. And I was saying, like, if Crook's bullet hit Trump, he would have been dead. The world would have been in World War III. I thoroughly believe it. and 1,500 Jan 6ers would be rotting away in the gulags for years to come. Like that bullet missing Trump, and it took the life of what was his last name? It started Campanoli. Oh, I feel bad. I can't remember the last name. It took the life of somebody. If that bullet had hit Trump, 1,500 people, or however many were still sitting in those gulags.
Corey Compatore.
Corey Compatore. Thank you. It's and it's like yeah, it killed one person and injured two others. If it had hit Trump, it would have been World War III, global devastation, and 1,500 lives. I don't know how many of them were in for an extended period of time. Jake Lang would have been languishing in jail for 20 years without a question. Enrique Tarrio, 20 years. I can't remember the other names, but that bullet missing, you know, the immediate consequential equation is something that's unbelievable. Yeah, and Nikki Haley would be president and Mike Pompeo would be VP. No, it would probably still be Joe Biden. Joe Biden withdrew 8 days after the assassination failed. The assassination occurred 3 weeks after Joe Biden's disastrous debate. If Trump had been killed, there would be civil war here in the U.S., says TT Fulltimer. Yep. Jake would have died in jail, says Marta. Oh, say it again?
Speaking about, a quick question about that. Was it possible that the J6ers could qualify as a class for a class action?
So Barnes and I'll talk about with Barnes on Friday. I know that Jake discussed offering a menu of their claim, not a menu of the headers of their claims that they're going to ask for compensation from the government. The issue with what a class action in that case is that the individual treatment, it would be so wildly different from one Jan 6er to the next. I don't know how you define the class. You could define, the class you could define people incarcerated as a result of between X and Y and period. I don't know about the difficulty in quantifying the damages because of the disparate or the dissimilar treatment that many of them suffered. So I don't know if I would imagine a joinder of actions is probably the better way, and then individuals make their own claims for damages, which are going to be wildly different from one to the next. But I don't know. I'll ask Barnes on Friday because on Sunday I'm genuinely curious about that as well. Sunday prep, says Encryptus. Yep. Friday show. Friday. I'm an idiot. It's not Friday show. I meant Sunday. I mean, we've only been doing this for 5 years. Why the hell would I know offhand what day we do our show on? We've got a meme, and it says, "Remember to connect male to female." And then the woman says, "Why assign gender rules to electrical connections? Let the circuits decide their own identities." That's funny. I'm going to take that one too. All right. And I think with that, did I show it? I didn't show it. It's kind of a good one. I'm going to share that. Let's see if I can get canceled for that. Quite funny. I think we've done good tonight, peeps. I didn't miss any tipped questions. I think we're good. Let me see here. Donations. Viva 82 still horny. Is it okay? We're good. What's up, Encryptus?
No, just saying you got them all.
We got them all? Okay. Only because I've got to pee and it's almost 6 o'clock. And I'm going to get yeeted one way or the other from the Rumble studio. I gotta snip some clips. I've got to do the interview with Mario, and I'm going to post that one as a standalone on CommuTube. And then today, I'm not cutting the Jewish discussion. I hate the discussion. I never wanted to have it. Period. Fudge. All right, locals, thank you as always for being here. Encryptus, thank you for everything. What was I going to say? Let's just see what's going on with Ed Martin on the Kalshi markets. He's back in the negative. Yeah. All right. Well, fingers crossed. I think tomorrow's the day that they had to have some procedural vote. So we'll see. People, I think Barnes has got a burden with Barnes coming up tonight. So yesterday he talked about, I listened to it on the way to the Unusuals this morning. I'm not sure if I'm allowed saying this, but I'm going to say it anyhow. It looks like Vinny Oceana from the Unusuals is getting a Bronco as well. I'm not saying I'm jealous. If he's getting the one that I saw pictures of, is a sexy ass beast of a car. I'm not jealous. I love my car. But nobody should love material objects in any event. So they are nothing but material. All right, I'm not even going to satisfy my own neuroses and go to exactly 2 hours Everybody, Godspeed, God bless. I'll try to pop in if I can with the Bourbon with Barnes tonight, but I'll probably, as usual, just end up listening to it tomorrow as I do my morning jog. And we'll see what the news holds for us between now and tomorrow, because surely things will happen. Go and enjoy the day, and I will go see if the killdeer egg is still there. Peace, peeps. Booyah.